Keynesian approach. The topic that we are going to talk about today is the approach given by Keynes on money and prices. So we know that father of economics is Adam Smith, but after Adam Smith, the main economist who gave us his theories was John Maynard Keynes. So today we are going to talk about his approach on money and prices. According to Keynes, there is an indirect effect on the price level to the change in quantity of currency. But we have studied before that under quantity theory of money, there is a direct effect. So today we'll study what is the Keynesian principle related to price and currency, and we'll also explain the power of Keynesian approach. But first, before that, we should know that what is money. So, the number of commodities or services that we get in exchange with a unit of money is called the value of this unit of money. According to the quantity theory of money, there is a directly proportional relationship between quantity of money and the general price level, and there is an inverse proportional relationship between quantity of money and value of money. So let's go to the next slide. So, Keynesian theory of money and prices. So, Keynes presented his principle related to price and currency in his famous book, A Treatise on Money, and the general theory of employment, interest, and money. According to the quantity theory of money, as I've already told, that there is a direct and proportional relationship. But according to Keynes, this is not so. According to him, when we change the quantity of money, it indirectly affects the price level by changing the rate of interest and the cost of production. So let's go to the next slide. According to Keynes, there are some steps through which the quantity of currency affects the price level. So the first step is that when we change the quantity of currency, it firstly affects the rate of interest. So when the quantity of currency increases, then the rate of interest decreases and there is no change in the liquidity preference. What we mean by liquidity preference? Firstly, we should know what do we mean by liquid. So liquid is which can be changed rapidly. So assets which can be changed into money rapidly. So we are seeing here that when we are changing the quantity of currency, the rate of interest is decreasing in the same proportion. So our demand of assets, of liquid assets is not changing. So what happens is that when we increase the supply of money, then it leads to the increase in the cash in the hands of the public. When this happens, then the demand of bonds increases. When the demand of bonds increases, it leads to the increase in the price of the bonds. And as we know that there is an opposite relationship in the rate of interest and the price of bonds. So now that the price of bonds has increased, then it will lead to the decrease in the rate of interest. And hence, when quantity of currency increases, then the rate of interest decreases. When this happens, then what happens is that it encourages the investment. So the second step is that decrease in rate of interest increases the investment. When there is an increase in investment, it leads to the increase in production, income and employment in the economy by a multiplier process. This is so because the sources are not fully used. That means we are still not at the level of full employment. So the supply of sources, or we can say our inputs of production, are fully flexible. So when we increase investment, these sources are also used and increased, and this leads to the increase in production, income and employment. Let's go to the next slide. So now we have seen that the production, income and employment has increased. So when this happens, then to increase the production, the producers will have to increase their demand of sources of production. What do we mean by sources of production? We mean that the inputs which are used in production, their demand increases. What can be some examples of inputs? They can be land, labor. So the demand for these inputs or sources of production increases. So This happens till the time of full employment is not achieved. But once the status of full employment is achieved, as we can see in point 5, then there cannot be any increase in employment. So we have already achieved the condition of full employment. Now we cannot further increase the employment. But now if even then we are increasing our demand of inputs of production, then their cost price will increase. Now, since the cost prices are increases, that will also increase the cost of production. So now if a supplier's or a producer's cost of production will increase, then how will he still maintain his profits? So to maintain those profits due to increase in cost of production, he will have to increase the price of produced goods and services. So in this way we can see that we came in full circle and our quantity of currency indirectly affected the price level by first affecting the rate of interest and then affecting the cost of production. So if I summarize or if I again go through the relation of price and currency, then it will be first there was increment in the quantity of currency, then there was increase in the cash fund in the hands of the public, which led to increase in the demand of bonds. When the demand of bonds increased, then that led to the increase in the bond prices. When bond prices increase, then due to inverse relationship with rate of interest, it led to decrease in rate of interest. So when rate of interest decreased, it led to increase in the investment. So increase in investment led to increase in demand of inputs or sources of production. So when the demand of inputs increased, then it led to increase in the price of inputs, which further led to the increase in cost of production. And in the end, when cost of production increased, then we increased the cost of products and services, or we can say that we increase the price of products and services. So the summary of price and currency related to Keynesian principle is like this. When the condition of unemployment is found in an economy, then the production and unemployment are increased. So then the production and employment are increased because of the increase in the quantity of currency. So we can see that when there is unemployment, then production and employment increases due to increase in quantity of currency, and after the condition of full employment is reached, then the increase in quantity of currency leads to the increase in price in the same ratio. So now let's see this through the help of a diagram. So there are two figures, figure A and figure B. Both the figures will help us to see the relationship between the price and money. So in figure A, the x-axis shows output, or we can say production, and the y-axis shows money, or we can say the quantity of currency. Similarly, in figure B, the x-axis shows the quantity of money and the y-axis shows the price level. So in figure A, we can see that when the quantity of currency is increased from point O to point A, then the production is also increased in that ratio from point O to point Q. And till the point Q, the currency increases proportionately, and in the same proportion the output also increases. Now we can see that OQ is the production of full employment. So production is raised up till B curve point, but after that it adopts the form of a straight line BM. So that means that if we further increase the currency, it will not lead to increase in the production or output. So that is why it becomes a vertical line BM. Now let's see the figure B. So when quantity of currency is OA, then the price level is constant on OQ. Why? Because till here the full employment condition has not been reached. But after the full employment condition has been reached in point B, so when we will further increase the quantity of currency more than OA, then price line BR is raised up, or we can say it is upward sloping, which presents the ratio relationship in the price level and the quantity of currency. I hope this is clear. Now, let's see the relationship between price and money through the equation given by Keynes. So, this slide shows the Keynes fundamental equation. Now, Keynes has shown his idea related to prices and money in the equation Y is equal to E plus Q. Now here Y represents the national income, E represents the payment for sources, and Q represents the windfall profit. So as we know, resources or sources means the inputs used in production. So the national income is used for the payment of our inputs, and the remaining part is the windfall profit of the producer. Now, windfall profits are measured by subtracting the actual sell and the sources payments. So, basically, the remaining amount by subtracting the revenue and the inputs payments is our windfall profits. And when this actual sell and the sources payments, that means the revenue and the cost prices are equal, then only normal profits are gained. So when Y is equal to E, we have normal profits. Now, what is our total production equal to? So, O is our total production, which is equal to the R plus C, where R denotes the customer things and C is the capital things. So, basically, the total production includes what we are producing for our customers or consumers and what we are producing as capital goods or the infrastructure. So that is why our total production will include the R, which is customer things, and the C, which is capital things. So let's go to the next slide. So now we have already studied what is the national income Y, what is the total production O, and now the turn is to study what is the savings and the investment. So savings S is equal to E minus P into R. What is E? E is the payment for sources, or we can say resources, or we can also say inputs. Now R is the consumption things. So savings S is equal to P into R, which is consumption things into their prices. Now, what is the investment? Investment is I, or we can say investment expenditure is equal to P1 into C. Here, C is the capital things and it is multiplied by its prices P1. So, please don't confuse the price P and the price P1. P is the price of consumption things R and P1 is the price of capital things C. Now N is equal to PR plus P1C upon O. This is the fifth equation. Now what does this equation gives us? Now here the small n denotes the normal price level. We know that we have to find the relationship between money and prices. So what will be our normal price level equal to? It represents the ratio of total expenditure. So in the numerator we have total expenditure PR plus P1 into C. So the expenditure on capital things plus expenditure on consumption things. And it is divided by the total production O. Now we know from the equation 3 that PR is equal to E minus S, and equation 4 tells us that P1 into C is equal to I, investment. So if we substitute this in equation 5, we can get our normal price level as N is equal to E minus S plus I upon O. Or if we rearrange them, then we can get the equation of the general price level as N is equal to E upon O plus I minus S upon O. So this is the basic equation of Keynesian principle which is related to currency and prices. It has two important parts, E upon O and I minus S upon O. So let's read about that what does this parts means. See, E upon O is the ratio of total production and payment of sources or the inputs. So, E is the payment of sources, O is the total production, and their ratio gives us E upon O. Now, what is the part I minus S upon O? I we know is the investment, S is the savings, so my I minus S is their subtraction, and O is the total production. So this part gives us the ratio of total production and the subtraction of I from S. Now for Keynes, the part E upon O is almost constant, and that is why he centralized his attention on I minus S upon O. So his findings were basically upon I minus S upon O, so that he can explain things that how price level is affected. So in this relation, he gave many observations. One of them is that the reason in the difference of investment I and savings S is the difference in the natural rate of interest and the market rate of interest. Now, what do we mean by market rate of interest? See, market rate of interest is the rate which is found in the fixed point in the currency market. So what do you mean by that is that today if I go to the currency market, then the rate of interest that I will get in this point of time will be my market rate of interest. Now, what do we mean by the natural rate of interest? See, natural rate of interest is the rate of the interest and investment that I will get on the full employment level. So that means that when my economy will be in full employment level, then the rate of interest and the investment at that level will give me the natural rate of interest. So because the natural rate of interest and market rate of interest are different, then that leads to the difference in the investment and the savings. If my savings on the level of full employment are equal to the investment, then my market level of rate of interest will be equal to the natural rate of interest. That will also lead to a constant price level of interest, and there will be no sign of change. So it basically says that when S is equal to I, then market rate of interest and natural rate of interest are equal. Now what will happen when S is greater than I or when I is greater than S? See, if I is greater than S, that means my investment is greater than savings. So this will be the part where economy is at the condition of full employment. So that means my market rate of interest is less than the natural level of rate of interest. So their reasons are the increment in the increase in quantity of currency, which will lead to the increase in the demand of bonds. Now when demand for bonds increases, then their price also increases, which will lead to the decrease in the market rate of interest. And hence we can see that when I is greater than S, then the market rate of interest is less than the natural level. Now what will happen if my investment is less than savings? So at this point my economy is not at the condition of full employment. That means that all my resources are not fully used up. So in this case, an increment in the quantity of currency would increase the production without increasing the price level. So in this case, even though my quantity of currency will increase, but it will not lead to the increase in price level even though my production is increasing. if my quantity of currency decreases, then what will happen? The rate of interest will increase, as there is an inverse relationship, and in this case my investment will be less than the savings. So now my investment is less than savings. That means the demand of inputs will decrease, because what do we invest in? We invest in our inputs of production. But this time I am saving more and I am investing less. So my demand of inputs will decrease. This means the cost of production will also decrease, and hence the price level will decrease. So hence through all this we saw the Keynesian equation of money and prices. Now let's see that why is my Keynesian approach superior than the currency magnitude principle. So our next topic is superiority of Keynesian approach. The Keynesian currency principle is better than the currency magnitude principle, and we will be studying the reasons for the same. So first reason is the integration of monetary theory with the theory of value. So one quality of Keynesian principle is that this principle has tried to integrate currency principle, or also known as principle of normal price level, and the value principle, or also known as relative price principle. So first we should know that what is the currency principle and the value principle. See, according to currency magnitude principle, the normal price level and different goods and services are determined from different ways. The cause of change in the normal price level is due to change in the quantity of currency. So we can see that when we change our quantity of currency, it leads to change in the normal price level. And that is why this is known as the currency principle. But on the other side, if we see, then the cause of change in relative prices is the change in supply and demand of the commodities, due to which it is known as value principle. Because due to the value of the supply and demand of commodities, the relative prices change. Now, economist Don Patinkin has named this difference of currency principle as classical dichotomy. Classical dichotomy, dichotomy means that two ways. So we can see there is a way currency principle and there is a way value principle. So the difference in the currency magnitude principle has been given the name as classical dichotomy by Don Patinkin. But according to Keynes, this dichotomy is unrealistic. The main cause of change in normal price level and relative prices, according to Keynes, is the change in cost of production. So the relative prices are determined by the flexibility of supply and demand and the cost of production. These financial elements also determine the normal price level. So the price theory and the currency theory are affected by the same causes and not different causes as given by the currency magnitude principle, and that's why Keynesian approach is superior, because it integrates the monetary theory with the theory of value. So this is the first reason. Now let's see the second reason. Now, Keynesian approach is a more realistic approach. See, the currency magnitude principle is valid only in the full employment condition. But we know that full employment condition is a rare condition. Even nowadays, we can see that there is unemployment in the economy. So that is why the full employment condition is rare. So underemployment condition is found in most of the countries, even like India. So Keynes currency principle is valid in both the full employment and underemployment conditions. In underemployment condition, as we read, that a result of increase in quantity of currency, there is an increase in employment and production. And we also read that if the full employment condition is achieved, then the price level will rise due to increase in the quantity of currency. Keynes also considered this in the partial employment condition, that when there is a partial market, then the price level can also be increased with the increase in production, but such increase is very limited. And hence the Keynesian approach is a more realistic approach because we can apply it to both full employment condition and the underemployment condition as compared to the full employment condition of currency magnitude principle. Now, the third reason is that Keynes tried to integrate the monetary theory with the theory of output, or we can also call it as production theory. So, Keynes integrated the monetary theory with production theory. The change in quantity of currency affects the interest rate. Now, this interest rate affects the investment quantity, and when the investment quantity is increased, then the economy's production quantity is also changed, or we can say it also increases. When the production quantity increases or changes, then there is also a change in the cost of production and the price level. And in this way, our monetary theory, or the theory of money and prices, is integrated with the production theory. Now let's see the next reason. Keynes' theory gives us a proper explanation of the causal process. So, this theory explains the causal process relation more scientifically instead of the currency magnitude theory. See, according to Keynes, this is the demerit of currency magnitude theory, that the effect of currency which occurs on interest rate, then investment, then production and employment, they are fully ignored. According to currency magnitude principle, there is just a direct relationship that the currency will change and that will lead to the change in the prices. But as Keynes said, that they are there is an indirect relationship. So in currency magnitude theory, the entire concentration is kept on total quantity and prices of currency. But in Keynes theory, we see that all these elements, that is interest rate, investment, production, employment, all these are kept in concentration. According to Keynes theory, supply of currency when is greater than the demand, then the interest rate decreases. As a result, there is an increase in investment, and which leads to the increase in the demand of production equipment, or we can say the inputs of production, due to which the cost of production increases and it leads to the increase in the prices. So the quantity of currency affects the prices indirectly, and this explanation is more realistic as compared to the explanation that there is a direct effect in the quantity of currency and the prices. So the last reason for the superiority of Keynesian theory is that it is a better guide of economic policies. Let's see that in the next. So the fifth reason is better guide of economic policies. See, Keynes theory is more behavioral in comparison to currency magnitude theory, and hence it is also a better guide of economic policies. How is it more behavioral? As it tells us the production process and how the quantity of currency and price are related through the production. So according to the currency magnitude theory, every increase in the quantity of currency becomes the cause of increase in prices, or we can say inflation in prices. But according to Keynes, the increase in quantity of money affects the money inflation after full employment has been achieved. If there is a condition of recession or unemployment in any country, then to overcome from this condition, the financial arrangement of loss or the policy of credit expansion can be adopted without any fear, because till then there will be no increase in the price level. So because of increase in the supply of money, the price level will not increase, and hence it will not be a dangerous thing. So in if we see in the end that Keynes has this view that supply of currency is an equipment of economic development till the condition of full employment has not been achieved. Once the condition of full employment has been achieved, then we should remember that there is a danger of increase in the price level. So with this, we finish our Keynesian approach topic. Thank you.